Today we are going to learn about the English lesson. The title of the lesson is The Best Christmas Present in the World. This is a story about a Christmas present, and here the writer tells us about his experience when he was in the First World War. So let us begin the lesson. I spotted it in a junk shop in Bridport, a roll-top desk. The man said it was early 19th century and oak. I had wanted one, but they were far too expensive. This one was in a bad condition, the roll-top in several pieces. One leg clumsily mended, scorch marks all down one side. It was going for very little money. I thought I could restore it. It would be a risk, a challenge, but I had to have it. I paid the man and brought it back to my workroom at the back of the garage. I began work on it on Christmas Eve. So here the writer went to a junk shop in Bridport and he purchased a roll top desk. It was a very old one, roll top desk, and there were scorch marks, and the leg was clumsily mended, as it was not too costly. So writer purchased it, and purchasing it was a risk, a challenge, because it was very old, but writer wanted it, so he purchased it and brought it to home at his workroom at the back of the garage, and he started to work on the Christmas day. I removed the roll top completely and pulled out the drawers. The veneer had lifted at almost everywhere. So there were he removed all the roll top out and pulled the drawer. There were veneer. Veneer is the thin layer of the plastic or decorative wood on furniture of cheap wood. So there were veneer everywhere. It looked like water damage to me. Both fire and water had clearly taken their toll on their desk. So they are the taken their toll on means they damaged. The phrase taken their toll on. So the both fire and water had damaged the roll top desk. The last drawer was stuck fast. I tried all I could to ease it out gently. In the end, I used brute force. I struck it sharply with the side of my fist, and the drawer flew open to reveal a shallow space underneath a secret drawer. So there, the last drawer was not opening, so he struck it sharply with his fist, and drawer opened, and underneath there was a secret drawer. So there was something in there. I reached in and took out a small black tin box. In that drawer he found a small black tin box. Sellotaped to the top of it was a piece of lined notepaper, and on that small black tin box one sellotaped piece of paper was there, and that piece of paper, it was written that Jim's last letter received January 25, 1915, to be buried with me when the time comes. I knew as I did it that it was wrong of me open the box, but curiosity got the better of my scruples. Scruples means feelings that make you hesitate to do something wrongs. So here the curiosity made the writer to open the box. Initially uh, he hesitated to open it, but curiosity made him to open it. Inside the box there was an envelope. So in that box there was an envelope. The address read Mrs. Jim MacPherson, 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport, Dorset. I took out the letter and unfolded it. It was written in pencil and dated at the top December 26, 1914. So the letter was written on December 26, 1914. So here the Mrs. Jim Macpherson, one lady, on her name the address was there. So the letter was like this: Dearest Connie, I write to you in a much happier frame of mind. So I am very happy to write it because something wonderful has just happened. I must tell you about at once. So something happened with the writer, and so he is telling the lady that I have must tell you about that. We were all standing to in our trenches yesterday morning. So the writer, he is a soldier. He is standing in our trenches. Trench is the long deep ditch in which ground in the ground where the soldiers hide from the enemy. So all the soldiers were standing. It was a crisp and quite all about as beautiful a morning as I have ever seen, as cold and frosty as Christmas morning should be. And Christmas morning was very cold and frosty in the month of December. I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth I am ashamed to say is that Fritz began it. So Fritz is the name given to the German soldiers. First, someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. So opposite side also German soldiers, prints were there, and this side were the Tommy. Tommy means the English soldiers. Then one of the German soldier was flying, waving the flag, white flag, and coming towards them. And then they were calling out to us from across no man's land. So no man's land is a land which do not belong, so does not belongs to Fritz also and Tommy also. And then they were calling out to us from across no man's land, Happy Christmas, Tommy, Happy Christmas. So they called Happy Christmas. They are like they shouted. When we had got over the surprise, and we were surprised, and we shouted back, "Same to you, Fritz, same to you." I thought that would be that, and I thought it is over. But suddenly, one of them was up there in the gray great coat and waving a white flag. "Don't shoot, lads." So he shouted. He came up from that trench, and he shouted, "Don't shoot, guys." Someone shouted. No one did. Then there was another freeze up on the parapet, and another. So all came up. "Keep your heads down." So I told them, "Don't shoot, and keep your heads down." And I think it is a trick. One of the German was waving a bottle above his head, and as they marching towards us, one of the German soldier was waving the bottle above his head. "It is a Christmas day, Tommy. We have schnapps. We have sausages. We meet you." Yes, by this time there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land, and not a rifle between them. Uh, Little Private Morris was the first up. "Come on, boys, what are waiting for?" Um, and then there was no stopping them. I was the officer. I should have stopped them there and then. So from that side, the German soldier, and this side, the English soldier, they started to march towards each other. I was the officer, and the writer was the officer. He should have stopped them, but he should did not stop them. But the truth that it never even occurred to me I should. I all along their line and ours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another, grey coats and the khaki coats. So grey khaki coats were the dress of uh, our Tommy, means the English soldiers. They are meeting in the middle of their line, and I was one of them. I was part of this. In the middle of war, we were making peace. So actually, it was the incident happened during the First World War, and there was a in this situation, they were making the peace, and the the two country soldiers, or the enemies, they were meeting with each other. Can't imagine, dearest Connie, my feelings as I looked into the eyes of the police officer who approached me and hand outstretched hands off, he said. So you cannot imagine Connie. So the writer is telling her wife my feelings as I looked into the eyes of police officer. So uh, who approached me and hand outstretched. So police officer was Hans Wolf, he said, gripping my hand warmly, and he uh, shook a hand with me, and I said, I am from Dusseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. Captain Jim MacPherson. Uh, he said, Captain Jim MacPherson. I replied, and so he said his name that I am Jim MacPherson. I replied, and a happy Christmas to you too. I am a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England. So the here the Hans Wolf, his name, and he was from Dusseldorf, and he used to play orchestra. This police officer, and here the Major Jim MacPherson, he is from Dorset, and he was a school teacher. Oh, Dorset, he smiled. I know the place. I know it very well. We shared my rum ration and his excellent sauces. So they had rum and sauces, and we were talked Coney how he talked. He spoke almost perfect English, but it turned out that he had never set foot in the Dorset, never even been to the England. But by his talking, I could know that he never came to England or Dorset. He had learned all he knew of England from school and from reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book was Far from the Meddling Crowd. So, out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. So these are the books about these old stories they talked. He had a wife and one son also born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere, all over no man's land. So the people, soldiers of German and England, they scattered here and there, smoking, they're laughing, talking, drinking, eating. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left to your wonderful Christmas cake, Connie. So we had the wonderful cake which you have sent, Connie. He thought the marzipan was the best of the he had ever tasted. So sweet covering on the cake made from sugar, egg, and almond. That is called marzipan, and there never was any. He appreciated the marzipan. There never was a Christmas party like it, Connie. So this was a wonderful experience he shared, wrote in his letter, and he shared with his wife, Mrs. Connie MacPherson. Uh, and it was a very wonderful experience. So then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Great coats were dumped in piles to make goalpost, and to make the goalpost they dumped the great coats both the sides and made the poles. And the next thing we knew, it was a Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. So Hans Wolf and I looked on, cheered, and we were clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breath mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim MacPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in football match. No children are orphaned. No wives become widows. So by looking at the football match, uh, uh, Hans Wolf said Jim McPherson, this is the way by playing a football match we should resolve this war which is going on in the world. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then we Tommies could be sure of winning, probably. We laughed at that. And then the Jim McPherson made a joke that instead of playing football, we have to play cricket, and then surely we will win that. And we laughed at that, and together we watched the game. Sati said, Coney, Breeds won, 2 goals to 1. But as Hansel generally said, our goals was wider than theirs, so it was not quite fair. So the poles were somewhat our were wider than there, so they could win. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished, the schnapps and the rum, the schnapps and the rum and the sausage had long since run out, and we knew it was all over. I wished Hans uh, well, and told him I hoped he could see him family and again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. So this is what the same feelings was there uh, in the mind of enemies also, that they wanted to go to meet their family, and okay, and they wished the fighting would end in the same way. I think that uh, is what every soldier wants on both sides. Hans Hope said, take care, Jim Mamser. So I shall never forget this moment, nor you. He saluted and walked away from me slowly. Unwillingly, I felt. So he actually had a good friendship with Jim McPherson, and he unwillingly and slowly left. He turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey coated, and he uh, went away. And that night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol and singing it quite beautifully. It was still not silent night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of while shepherds watched. We exchanged a carol for a while, and then we all felt silent. We had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace, will long, they wish for peace. We shall be together again soon, I am sure of it. So, I am going to meet you, and this terrible war will get over like this. He say, you are loving Jim. So this is all he wrote to his wife in this letter, and that letter is known as the best Christmas present for Connie McPherson. So how it became the best Christmas present, uh, the next part we will see in the next